or carry or hideaway length or what have you. Basically, make it harder for them to conceal. Now, while shotguns are still regulated to 18 inches, eventually they would loosen up on rifles and regulate them at 16 inches. This was done in 1960, and many say it's because of things like the M1 carbine and popular military model rifles having a 16-inch barrel length. But the current law to this day, and at the time of the Ruby Ridge incident, is 16 inches on rifles and 18 inches on shotguns. The penalty for producing or having a weapon that is under the required barrel length is a $10,000 fine and up to 10 years in prison. Now, what you're probably thinking is, did this NFA actually prevent any crime? The answer is, nope. See, the NFA was written as a means to an issue of the time. They were worried about gangsters rolling up into buildings with sawed-off barrel full auto rifles, so they regulated those things. And sure, that would help with some arrest, because now when the police raided some stash location, they not only charged them for all of the stolen money and other crimes, but they could also charge them for the possession of the guns themselves. But that worked for like a few days, and then all the criminals did was just not saw the barrels until they were about to commit the crime. Because if you're about to go on a rampage or hold up a bank, why do you care about short barrel laws? What is 10 years going to do when you're racking up multiple life sentences? So historically, the NFA has been used more so for getting people who are scraping the bottom of the barrel and do dumb stuff like, I don't know, agree to sell short-barreled shotguns to a federal informant. Now, that's all that the NFA applies to Weaver's story. Feel free to skip ahead till the background doesn't look like this and I'm not wearing the sarcastic shirt. But I think it's important to emphasize how ridiculous these laws can get, because it's one of the main reasons that the events of Ruby Ridge are viewed in the way they often are. So you may be asking yourself, that's cool, so the NFA was made in the 1930s to kind of solve issues with gangsters and stuff like that. How does the NFA work with modern technology? You know, it's been like 100 years. Weapons have developed a lot. How has the NFA moved to accommodate those changes? And the answer is, it hasn't. And you may be thinking, oh, okay, so they don't enforce it anymore, right? And the answer is, yep. Let's look at an example of this. So back in the 30s, most modern rifle platforms looked something like this. You had a wood stock weapon and a very large action that shot a rifle round, right? It was either that or some kind of handgun. But now in the modern age, technology has changed a lot. And a lot of weapons platforms have gone from looking like that to looking something like this. The mechanism of a modern weapon is completely different compared to what it was 100 years ago. A lot of innovation has happened, but sadly, the law hasn't kept up with it. So the whole point of the NFA originally was so that people wouldn't be able to conceal weapons, right? Of course, the caveat to that is the handgun. Handguns are incredibly small and concealable compared to something like a rifle, which, fun fact, the original versions of the NFA included pistols along with the machine guns and short-barreled weapons before it was removed, given that so many people have them and there would be an uproar over regulating them. So let's say I was to take a rifle like this, and say I was to cut the barrel about right here. That would land me in jail for 10 years, or at least, you know, up to 10 years. Now, what if we take another weapon that uses the exact same action, has the exact same caliber, and a lot of similar features like this? These two, for those who aren't super familiar with Kalashnikov platforms, these two are effectively the same gun. There's differences, of course, for the nerds out there, things like, you know, the gas block, specific platform, blah, 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 but these are both AKs. But if you'll notice, this one has a lot shorter barrel than this one. Now, a second ago, I said if I cut this AK's barrel down, that puts me in jail for 10 years, so how is this one fine? Because legally, this one is a pistol. According to modern law, these two things are the exact same. So if I was to take this stock and put it over on this one, guess what I get? That's right, 10 years. Because according to the NFA, by putting a stock on this pistol, I have now manufactured an illegal short-barreled rifle. However, it doesn't stop there. It is also qualified as an illegal short-barreled rifle if the overall length of the weapon is less than 26 inches. So you can have a legal barrel length and do everything in your power to follow the law, but oh look, your buttstock was an inch too short. Guess that's 10 years. Sorry. I have seen ATF agents pull out measuring tapes on people to see if they're going to jail or not. People who try to follow the law and even the absurdity of laws like this are often regulated and checked to see if they're now a felon. That's not even getting into the fact that the ATF arbitrarily makes different decisions. They'll sell something and say it's totally legal for a decade before saying, actually that's illegal, and if you don't turn it in right now, that's jail for you. And that's not even the entire puzzle when it comes to this stuff. Like, for example, if you take a pistol like this and say I was to put a foregrip on it so I can hold the gun like this, that is also a felony. That short AK I was pointing at earlier, if I decide to put a foregrip on it, jail. Also, if I take a gun like this, and remember the whole point of the NFA, theoretically at least, is to make the gun less concealable. So if I take a pistol like this and I put a stock on it, which makes the gun much less concealable, it more than doubles the length of it. If I put a stock on this, that's also jail, because I have now manufactured a short barrel rifle. And here's the worst part about all of this, right? So let's go along with the ATF for a second and pretend that having a short-barreled weapon just fills you with some kind of need to hurt people, right? Okay. If it actually was a law to protect people, then why can you pay $200 and just get by? That is right. If you pay a $200 tax stamp to the ATF, you can get approved to make any one weapon have a suppressor, have a short barrel, what have you. And yeah, like I said earlier, the reason this was originally done is so that they could catch people on charges theoretically before a crime's committed, even though it doesn't work in practice like that. But why is something that can be circumvented for $200 such a harsh penalty? Why does the $200 get you out of 10 years in prison instead of something like a fine? If this was just a weird law in the books that wasn't enforced and no one's life was ruined because of it, who cares, right? But lives are ruined over this time and time again. So yeah, in short, repeal the NFA.